What's up, everybody? That's so easy. We didn't even have to clap that time. Hey everyone, I'm Michael. I'm one of the co-founders of AITX community. We're a partner community with Applied AI Society, so we do this event together. And I'm really happy for you guys to be here. Applied AI Society, I'm sure Gary will tell you more about it, but it's specifically more for people who have like technical backgrounds and showing you how to apply AI to businesses and with the goal of actually making some money from it. So with that, I'll hand it over to Gary.
Can we do like soft music? I think that'd be cool.
Soft music?
Yeah, let's do it. Just like a little bit. We're like experimenting, iterating on the vibes. How'd you guys like the music?
Pretty good.
This is the mastermind behind it.
DJ Michael.
All right. As Michael said, at Applied AI Society, one of the co-founders and director, we are so proud to partner with AITX community, which is my favorite community. It's really like a community of communities in Austin and now Houston, Dallas, all over Texas that's helping people upskill, transition into this new economy. As Michael said, our focus is on bluntly helping you make money in this new economy. Because there's so many changes in our society right now, and it's time for us to just admit that nobody has this figured out, and it's time to share notes. So we are a community of students, AI practitioners, and business leaders racing to seize new opportunities in the great transition into what we call, it's basically a whole new world. We call it the applied AI economy. As far as Michael and I are concerned, the writing is on the wall. Just this past week, let's do a little recap. Jensen Huang on Lex Fridman's show. I think we've achieved AGI. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's going to be a topic of a speech and panel we're going to do later with AI pioneer Travis Oliphant, who's coming here in a little bit. It's my name that I give for what Claude has been cooking on over the last few weeks since OpenClaw, since Sam Altman recruited Peter Steinberger. ClaudeClaw, that's basically what they released, right? And so things are moving so fast, right? At GTC 2026, NVIDIA's conference, Jensen was like, if you don't have a claw strategy, I think he said OpenClaw strategy, but like if you don't have a claw strategy, which is really just like a design pattern for how to use agents, you need to get up to speed. And then you probably saw some of the news about what was most recently Riot Games. 1,000 top-notch game designers were laid off recently, and we're going to talk about that. 58% of business leaders say layoffs are likely this year in their company, and 44% name AI as the primary driver. All right, so a lot of you asked, we're in the Applied AI Society, what is our definition of applied AI? It's not just any sort of novel, experimentation. What is the North Star? What's the North Star that actually can get you a lot of money as an applied AI practitioner? Applied AI is putting AI to its highest and best use, running your organization as autonomously as possible so you can deliver value for your customers and for humanity as scalably as possible. The intention is not replacing people, but rather amplifying human capacity to deliver impact at scale that was previously impossible. I want to repeat that. The business architecture of the future is very different from a business architecture of even 2 years ago. If you're reading books about how to structure your business that was published any time before now, rethink it. And so we're here to compare the field notes because the best practices don't emerge because the technologies that are enabling new kinds of businesses didn't exist until like this week, right? All right, so Michael and I were talking about this earlier this week. And man, learning to apply is not the new learning how to code. It relates to code, it's software. Oh, Jensen was like almost downplaying. It's funny because Jensen says something that is contradictory. He's like, oh, we have achieved AGI. And he's also like, oh, AI is just software. But AI is so powerful today that learning how to apply AI is not learning how to code. It's akin to not learning how to read. So not knowing how to apply AI to your business, to your career, and to your community is the new I don't know how to read. We're not mincing our words here. We had a big presence at South by Southwest this past couple weeks. We were with the mayor, who mentioned Applied AI Society in his South by Southwest keynote at Meta. He agrees that the city of Austin is the applied AI capital of the nation. And we're going to work closely with government and business associations and more to make that the case. After the panel I spoke at, after the mayor's keynote, a leader from Colombia, the country, asked, how do we raise awareness? Because people are not talking about what's coming. And some context on this person, Rafael, he is part of a political dynasty in Colombia, and he's a chair of like a meta association of mobility associations. And what I mean by that is taxi cab associations, truck driver associations. He wants to make sure that Applied AI Society is working with the Colombian government so that people know what's coming now. All right, so another thing that was a common thread, Michael joined us for an electric panel at the Red Thread X house at South by Southwest. Jordaaan joined us. Two other people, Ryland and Rostam, joined us as well. The key theme is that people that are deep in applied AI right now know that the North Star is not building like a little widget or gizmo. It's business. Self-improving business is the North Star of applied AI. A continually improving value creation machine. So if the level of conversation you're having with your peers that you think you're talking about AI is not at this level, well, you should just come to more Applied AI Society events. All right, so I'm pontificating a little bit, but the reality is the Applied AI Society is not about me being a sage on the stage. We are aggregators of people who genuinely want to share useful, practical information for this moment. So you're going to hear from practitioners doing the actual work. My wonderful co-host of every event, Michael, also happens to be a killer applied AI engineer and also representative of Apify. So he's going to be the first presenter tonight. We'll have plenty of time for questions for each of our presenters. And then Jordaaan Hill is a self-taught applied AI engineer that was, is like a fixer for companies like Blade, the Uber for helicopters, and other enterprise customers that realize, wow, with the reps that Jordaaan has had over the past 2 years, basically being one with Claude Code, he is an indispensable asset to the future of these enterprises. So I just want to be like Jordaaan one day. And then the final presenter, which we are so excited about, it's actually a big reason, the main reason why Applied AI Society exists at all is my friend, a mentor of mine, and partner, Travis Oliphant, who is the inventor of NumPy, which is why all the GPTs exist, why we're having all the fun that we're having today. And he is so passionate about open source and sovereignty and the real end game of all this applied AI stuff. He's going to present about what OpenTeams, the company that he's the CEO of and the founder of, is doing. So very excited about that. Ryan over there was asked me, do I have my one more thing? I should have put this at the end, but this is a little bit of an announcement. Applied AI Society has an Earth shot. So we believe that everyone in the world needs to at least have the opportunity, the awareness that they can have a choice to upskill in applied AI or not. As far as I'm concerned, if you want to be part of the economy, you should have free access to extremely high quality education for learning how to apply AI so you can reinvent yourself, up-level yourself for this new economy. So we are in the middle of incorporating as a nonprofit because we exist to build accessibility of applied AI for the whole world. And how we get there, we're in the same way that Travis created a community of the Python data community to help incubate tools like NumPy, et cetera. We want to treat the educational source code to be the open source repos that allow for all kinds of content, all kinds of videos and courses, materials. We want to be able to be the base layer of education of applied AI around the world. And we're going to have a pay-it-forward model where there's going to be a suggested donation for our courses, but if you can't afford it, it's free, right? And we obviously, if you can really afford it, pay it forward to the people around the world. And we believe that every company can contribute in different ways, whether that's money, whether that's, you connect me with an applied AI engineer that's discovering something on the edge, on the frontier of application. Let's co-create the best source material for applied AI in the world. It's tied for first. I think you can, it's tied for first in terms of the greatest needs that humanity has right now. Almost done. So here is how tonight is, we're right on time. Tonight's lineup is the great Michael Daigler, who is going to talk about Apify, which he knows is like basically my favorite company. He's going to talk about business automation agents. Anyone that's applying AI should know about Apify, as far as I'm concerned. And we already know that a lot of people are interested in OpenClaw, so there's going to be a nice demo. Jordaaan is going to talk about how he's making real money setting up production-grade OpenClaws, and how he is the super learner mindset that has allowed him to be who he is today. We're going to do a little break. Also, feel free to continue to grab some food over there if you haven't already. And then we're going to have Travis to do a little update on the cool things that his startup is building, OpenTeams. And we're going to do a little Q&A, and then we're going to open it up to discussion where literally anyone can jump in, but we're going to have all of our speakers on stage. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Michael. Can we get a round of applause?
One second, we're going to change the laptops.
There you go. You got it?
Yeah.
I'll turn it on and off.
Oh, yeah.
Good?
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Just a quick introduction about myself first. Like Gary said, I'm a developer advocate at Apify, and I'm also the co-founder of AITX community. So we do like monthly meetups, hackathons, private dinners, stuff like that. I've been going around for like 3 years with that, and I'm really excited to share with you some of the things I've been doing with OpenClaw and Apify. And today's topic is going to be giving tools to your OpenClaw using Apify agent skills. So before we talk about tools, this is kind of like some context, pun intended. This is like where I feel like the world is going with the interface. I feel like the human interface was kind of built for humans back in the day, but now as agents become more capable, all they need really is structured data and programmatic access, and Apify is a really great way to bridge that gap. So for anybody here, who's used Apify here? Who doesn't know what Apify is? That's awesome, because we're going to teach you a little bit. So Apify is a platform. I just have to step away, I think.
Oh, how do we turn it up?
Oh, like this?
Is it this one? This one?
I think. Hello? Oh, yeah. Boom. All right. So Apify is a platform for serverless cloud programs for things like web scraping, automation, pretty much like anything an agent would really want to use. And we've been around for almost like 10 years at this point. It was popular before AI came around, but we kind of saw where the market is going with AI agents, and our infrastructure is currently kind of already built for that because all of these programs, which we call actors, we have about 20,000 of them on the marketplace, most of them built by community members who publish them to monetize, and you can access them via the API, MCP, client SDK. And so just like some examples of like use cases, these are like things that people have built with Apify, like social media intelligence, you do competitor tracking with like e-commerce, real estate, searching the web, the news, travel and booking, even like with AI RAG, I think Intercom is one of our bigger customers. They use Apify for their customer support chatbot to get like real-time internet data. And so now that we've sort of talked about, like the context being the human interface is dying and tools are sort of where the world is going to be going because agents need tools to actually move about the internet and take more actions. And we talked about what Apify is and how that ties into it. I'm going to be talking about why we want to build skills for agents. And this is because, in my opinion, if you're building a skill, I see it as like a business process that you're going to want to reuse over and over again. So instead of using something like MCP, where you have to load in all the tools at the beginning, you can actually just write a skill, and there's like this cool little thing at the top. You guys know that thing is called the front matter. It lazily loads in just that into the session context, which is helpful for the agent to understand if that skill is relevant for the user's intent in the session. And then the other reason that I like it is because it's auditable. So if you want a specific outcome from the skill, you can actually just read it. Like it's a markdown file, and you can even ask the agent, like, why did you do this? Like, what in the skill made you think you should do this when I wanted you to do this? And so these are like the two main reasons why I feel like skills are the best way to build for agents instead of like using something like MCP. I kind of already talked about the anatomy of a skill, so I'm just going to get into like the first portion of the demo and like show you first like the skill that I'm going to be demoing. So this is kind of what a skill looks like. You'll have your OpenClaw directory, and then you'll have a skills folder, then you'll have the name of your skill, and then you will have the skill.md, which is essentially the entire process explained to the agent. And then you can have cool subfolders like this. So this is the Apify Universal Scraper skill from their Claude Code agent skills, and I ported it over to OpenClaw and modified it slightly, which I'll explain a little bit later on in the presentation. And it also comes with a reference of like all the actors that it knows about. So it knows how to call the Apify API via the post requests for running an actor, and then it just needs to find the right actor ID for the use case and then swap it out. And then another really cool thing that I like about Apify is something called ad hoc webhooks. So usually, like when I joined Apify, I did not actually know this, but I thought I had to like register a webhook on every actor before I actually ran it. But they do support ad hoc webhook queries, which means that you can add a base64 URL at the end of the post request. And what I do is I have the OpenClaw agent make that webhook query and point it back into my hooks endpoint for my OpenClaw through a Cloudflare tunnel. So instead of the agent actually having to run a sub process or like pull for the result, it can just set it, forget it, and it'll wake up and get the run ID, and then it knows to just retrieve the data afterwards. So I find that very convenient, and I prefer that because it's more event-driven than just like waiting for the result. And so really quickly, this is how it all fits together. So this is what I will be showing you really quick on my Signal app. I would say something like, hey, could you scrape this site for me? And then OpenClaw is going to match the intent from what I asked it, and it'll see in the front matter of the skill like, hey, okay, it wants me to scrape something. I know the skill is used for scraping. Let me load in the full skill. Then it's going to actually call the right actor by reading the reference MD file to see which actor best fits the needs for the task. And then the agent will just go off and do whatever else I want it to until it gets the webhook callback. Then it will get the run ID from the actor run and then be able to retrieve the data set via the API. So this is the first demo. This is kind of like the primer before I show you like how I'm applying agent skills and Apify to more of a business context. All right, this is my agent. This is my agent, Finn. I had him write a little message to everybody saying like, hey, like, I'm super happy for everybody here. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say like, could you scrape like, I don't know, like what's a good thing, like restaurants or something like that? Does anybody have a suggestion, or I'll just type something? I'll just type something. Okay, and now, I just want to make sure I have... We're going to wait a little bit. I wanted to go full like live demo. I didn't want to record a demo. So, okay, so it started the scraping job. And so it read from a skill that I showed you earlier. So if I go over here, it actually knew to find the Google Maps scraper. And so inside, this is the output. So it's scraping like the top 10 restaurants in Austin. And then over here, if you see this tab, the triggered integrations, this is the ad hoc webhook that I was talking about. So it's triggered a webhook calling back through the Cloudflare tunnel to my OpenClaw with the run ID. And so when it gets it back, the agent's gonna wake up and then it's gonna fetch the runs data set, which is what you see right here. So hopefully it comes back soon. It does take a little bit, and I know Signal's a little annoying because they don't have the typing indicators. Okay, perfect. So this is like V1. I just wanted to give a primer on like how to make a skill, what a skill is, and how Apify fits into that picture. And now I'm going to show you part 2, which is more about applying it to a business context.
What do the results say?
The results say Ember Kitchen, Latin America, Sea Home, Rooftop, Seating, Corner Restaurant, Odd Duck in Zilker, Salty Sow in East Austin, Acre 41. I've never heard of these places. Barley Swine.
It's a good list.
Okay, sweet. It's a good list. Should go to some. All right, sweet. So now let's get into part 2. And this is really like where we take what we learned about using skills and integrating Apify into your OpenClaw and applying it to a real world use case. So I'm going to be talking about something that I'm still working on right now for AITX community. So like I mentioned, like we do meetups and we do hackathons. And I believe like we started with like just 1 when we started, and then we did 2, and we did 3 the last year. And now the goal is to do like 6, like 4 in Austin, 1 in Houston, and then 1 in Dallas. But the problem is that it's really just Jake and I doing a lot of the sponsorship research and outreach, and that takes a lot of time managing the relationships, talking to these people, the back and forth, finding the right people to actually sponsor the event. And sponsorships are one of the main ways that we get revenue for the business to actually continue to do events and support the hackathons. So my thought was, why could I not just give this to an OpenClaw? And so this is the skill that I'm currently working on. It's in the demo, you're going to see it's still manual, but the end state, when I have the time, I have not made the time, and that's just me not making it a priority, is to have the OpenClaw just on a schedule, check my Notion events database to see what new events we have, pull the description, and then check what sponsors are there, what are the sponsorship packages, and then automatically go and research companies that would be interested and then reach out to them. But for now, this is really just me actually asking it, could you research this company and reach out to them for me? And that I think it also works for the demo because you'll see it in the chat. But as you can see here, we have the skill. I have my required environment variables, which is my Apify token. We'll talk about agent mail in a second as well. I loaded it with some reference outreach emails, which could probably be better on the copy. And then these are all scripts, like a subfolder of scripts. And this is also something I would recommend is actually writing deterministic code as like in a script folder instead of telling it to generate the code itself. It kind of reduces the messiness of it, like messing up and like having to try again and again. And this is essentially the setup that I have for it. So we have my OpenClaw agent, and then I created what is called a standby actor on Apify, which is more of a new concept. And so it's essentially like a mini server that spins up and spins down, and you can expose API endpoints just like a regular API. And I prefer that because I can then encapsulate a lot of the dirty, like nitty-gritty business logic, all this stuff outside of the OpenClaw. And I can also update that without having to update the skill or anything like that. So that's why I prefer it. And so it acts as the intermediary between our Notion database and then also calling other actors on the platform. And so I mainly talked about this. I talked about this in the last slide, but again, it's just a preference that I have to encapsulate all of the logic that I know that the OpenClaw agent doesn't need to know about, that I want to have a say in and make that deterministic. I like to wrap that into a standby actor and give it API endpoints because I try to make the skill and the scripts for the skill as intuitive for the agent as it would be for me when you're telling me to use a tool. And the way I think about a tool is just like, I do this and something's going to happen. I don't need to know like all the code that goes into it. Just like I don't look at like a car and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look at the engine. No, I'm just gonna press the button or I'm gonna turn the key and it's gonna turn on. And so I found it to be a better way to think about making skills for my OpenClaw in that sense. And then finally, who's heard of AGMail.2? Anybody? If you have not heard about it, you should check it out because they're an API-first inbox for AI agents. They support webhooks. All you need is that AGMail API key and the inbox ID, and you can give your skill to, or give those to an OpenClaw skill, and it knows how to use AGMail. They just raised like $6 million too, so I'm fairly confident they're going to keep going and become more popular and be more robust. And the deliverability is fairly good. Like it's never gone to my spam. So if anybody had a question about that, yeah, it's pretty good. And so this is a more granular look at the entire flow of what you're gonna see in the demo. But basically, I'm first going to say like, hey, like, could you research a sponsor like this company for an event in our database? It's gonna first call the standby actor to get the event that I'm talking about, and it's gonna get that back, save it in its context, and then it's going to call the research endpoint, which is going to trigger off a set of different actors to research the company. It's first starting with the RAG web browser by Apify, which is essentially like their version of ChatGPT's internet search. So it's going to do more of a broad search across the internet, their company website, maybe some recent news about them, all things that would be helpful for determining if they might be an interesting sponsor for the hackathon we're doing. And most importantly, it's going to get their website with their company's LinkedIn profile page. And that's going to be important for the next step where we're actually going to scrape employees from the company page and filter it out for like keywords like CMO, DevRel, developer marketing, things that would be relevant and probably most interested in like hearing from someone like me. And then finally, I'm going to filter that out to get like the top 3 of those profiles. And we're going to pass those 3 LinkedIn profiles of those people into another actor, which scrapes their whole profile and then also gets their email. And we're going to send all that back to our OpenClaw, and then it's going to draft an outreach message and send it a message. And then, like I said, it's not fully autonomous yet. Ideally, I'm going to get it to a place where it can actually have the back and forth, and then reaches out to me when it's like, this sponsor's ready to pay, pretty much. So now it's demo time, but I have to switch my computer because I was building it on here, and I didn't pull it from my GitHub, so bear with me.
Is this still open source?
Huh?
Is it open source?
Apify?
No, the skill.
Oh yeah, I could send a blast like the GitHub. Yeah.
I can include it in the
Yeah.
Sick. Okay.
Does Apify have an agentic like engine that can replace OpenClaw?
No,
It seems like that's there's just like one little layer left.
yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the closest. Like, I would say we are like, you can think about us as like a marketplace of tools for agents that are like easily accessible. I know we're trying to work on agentic payments with our MCP through X402, but that is not live yet. But I don't know. What do you mean by like an agentic engine?
Well, basically like OpenClaw, you know.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
On Apify.
I don't think that's our main focus. I think it's mainly. Sorry, I just want to get to the.
Can I speak on the intersection a little bit too? So my 2 cents on the criticality of Apify as a soon-to-be sponsored entity. I'm just kidding. Is that I think OpenClaw is really poorly named because Apify is like it is like literally a marketplace of claws, right? Grabbing useful things for that. It's like basically a toolbox for agents. Like, oh, the clicker? Yeah. I got it. It's like it's a toolbox that agents can wield, where there's tools that it can wield, like scraping LinkedIn data or X data or data on Zillow or whatever, right? So your agent is only as useful as the claws that it can like attach to its body, right? Like what are the arms that it reaches out into the internet to be useful for you, right? So again, I think like OpenClaw is like poorly named, and Apify has a bunch of claws, a bunch of useful tools that the nature of the marketplace of Apify is that you can have like 50 claws competing to do the same function, right? So you have probably dozens of people that are trying to compete on like X search claws, right? I don't want to use the word claw because it's confusing, right? Tools for scraping X, right? And there's like ratings and data on how many active users those tools have, right? So it's almost like Amazon for tools for agents. So it's, as far as I'm concerned, the usage is going to go like this once people really understand what it is. And just excited that Michael, developer advocate, is rooted right here. So if you're cooking on something cool with agents, you're right next door to this man.
I can hook you up with some free credits too. Okay, so this is just, the UI, this is just something I'm making as like a personal tool. Basically, I want to deploy OpenClaws at will, so ignore that. But I'm just going to start by first explaining where we're getting this information from. So like, let's say this is like a recent thing where I'm creating an events database. So like this is a new one that I'm thinking of making, right? So AI Founders Dinner has all this information, and the goal is that the OpenClaw would eventually be able to autonomously just check this over and over again, but it has access to this through the standby actor right now. So I'm going to ask it to research a specific company for sponsoring this event and then reaching out to them. But I'm going to send it to my own email because I've had the accident a couple times where I've actually sent the email to a real person from there, and not good.
You want me to hold it? Or,
That's good.
okay. All right. What are you typing?
I'm saying, can you research Vercel as a potential sponsor for our AI Founder Dinner event? And again, this is live, so like, pray for me. I hope it works. I wanted to live on the edge today. You know what I'm saying? All right, so first it's like, okay, let me go find the event he's talking about. I know what endpoint to call because I have that skill, and it has the exact script that I need to call that endpoint. So if I go here, you can see that our standby actor is actually spun up now. This is gonna take maybe like 8 minutes, so just have to wait a second. It's going. It's thinking under the hood. I have where is it? We have live logs.
Well, I was wondering, could you mention what you're doing with, I see we're in your logos and you got a list of agents there, so is that like a repository of different agents that you're spinning up for different purposes?
Yeah, that was kind of my thought, yeah. All right, I'm just gonna refresh this and try again because looks like it is not working as intended. Just worked before I tried it, but that's why we do this. New session.
Do you ever call multiple agents for the same task, like the agent?
I'm not there yet, but my idea with like this thing, I was gonna make something called like syncs, like, you know how like we have weekly syncs at with like companies. It's like events people talk and marketing people talk. Doing that instead of like having them talk to specific agents, be like every week, like you 3 agents talk about this topic, you 3 agents talk about this topic. Oh.
Also, side question, LinkedIn is like notoriously hard and they don't want agents to be on the platform. How do you guys do it then?
So we don't actually own the LinkedIn scrapers, and I'm not on the legal team, so I can't say too much, but as long as you're using it for like non-malicious purposes, we don't really take the actor down. All right, I don't know if it's actually working, which is gonna suck. Oh, it is working, it's just not streaming. Okay, so it got the event, and then it's calling the RAG web browser, which was actually getting the company information, and then scraping the company's LinkedIn profile page for the employees, and then getting the top 3 picks, and then scraping those profiles to get their email, and then it's going to pick out of those 3 people who to email via agent mail. I don't know why it's not streaming, but it's working, allegedly, so.
Cool. You want to do questions, or do you have
Yeah,
any
we can
more?
do questions while I'm doing this. I have a few slides I can show,
Okay,
but
cool.
I wanted to kind of like show this. I mean, at the very least, I could show you, like, if I go back, I literally just did this before. Oh, okay, it did it. It just wasn't,
Streaming.
yeah. So, anyways, if I go to my email, really quick, guys, it's almost done, I promise. It's almost done, guys. So if I go to my email, it's a Domino's order. It's not there. Okay.
Different? Is it different email?
Oh, that's. I did not ask it to send it to the demo email.
Okay.
1 second. I'll just show it to you in the inbox. So as you can see, like, it actually did send the email in the agent mail. It's saying, like, for sale raised, this is a bug, but it's saying, hey, we just saw you raise a Series F. We are hosting an intimate dinner for 35 senior technical leaders on April 30th. This group is exactly the type building next generation of AI products on platforms like yours. Would a 20-minute conversation make sense to explore a fit? So that's kind of the idea. And if you go back here, you can see that that's actually what it is. It's like senior technical leaders, 35 people, April 30th. But yeah, so that is the demo. I apologize that it wasn't as smooth as it was before, but that's why I like to live on the edge. I want to show you like real stuff. I don't want to show you the videos, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Michael. Are you plugging in? Which one are you plugging in? Okay, cool. All right, who has a question about Apify? Anything you demoed? Oh, yeah.
There's a couple last things.
Okay, cool.
It's just really the credits.
Okay. Yeah, so this wonderful TV has to be turned on and off every time. Okay. Cool, here we go. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We can do Q&A while you guys take a picture of this. If you sign up for Apify, you get $100 credits. Caveat, it has to be an Apify actor because if we take money away from creators, they get pretty upset because some of these people actually like make their livelihoods off of actors. So, yeah.
Cool.
If you didn't take a picture of the code and you want it, just come find me after I'm done, and I'll give it to you as well.
We can also include it in the recap email.
What's up, Constantine?
What is the uptime like of the API? So for example, like if Google tries to block you, like how fast do you fix that?
Of like, oh, of actors, like what's that? What's the uptime? It actually depends on the actor itself. So if I go to the Apify store, actually I need to go to apify.com. Trying to see, it usually shows the general uptime is like, at least for Apify actors, is like mostly like, it's like 90, 99, 98%. But if it's a community built actor, it can vary. And so that's kind of why I would suggest when you're looking for actors on the store, you look for like the monthly users, and then you also look at the reviews, and that's like a really good way to see if it's a quality actor. You also look at like the build history, like how recent is this actor, has it been around a while, or is it like fresh, and do I want to risk that?
Question over there.
How do you filter out actors that have malicious code in them or malicious usage of whatever usage you do? Because that's a big problem like on Rapid API or other like marketplace places where you have lots of like actually malicious tools.
Yeah, we have, so we have like internal tools to like check on actors. So like if there are complaints from users saying like this actor is not like meeting the contract of what it is advertised as, we can actually go in and look at some of the codes. But a lot of the actors are closed source, so you can't actually go and see them on GitHub. So that is kind of an issue that we are still trying to get better at.
Did you verify the identity?
We just did that, yeah, because it was actually funny. Before, you could like technically try to launder money through Apify, because you could like spin up a separate account and pay yourself, and then we would pay out people through Apify, and it would be clean money. So now we force people to like actually verify their identity, because I guess that was actually like a really big issue. Like that was an issue that was coming up.
Sweet.
Any other questions, or are we good?
Sweet.
All right, sweet. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, everyone. Thank you again to Michael for the amazing presentation about Apify. Once again, he's making it so easy to get started, giving your AI agents the tools that they need to be useful. Excited for Jordaaan Hill, good friend, someone that's right on the frontier of the applied AI economy, someone that you didn't write like a single line of code 2 years ago, right? And you just dove straight into agentic engineering. And so if we can give Jordaaan a round of applause as he... And we'll get to it. Okay. I'll pass it off to you. And yeah, you just have to click on the right arrow. I'll be here if you need.
How's it going, folks? Good. All right, I'm gonna do my best to give you guys a decent show here. So I still call it ClaudeBot. Anybody else still call it ClaudeBot? It's kind of like Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, that type of thing.
Vibecraft is right here.
Vibecraft is there? Okay, cool. I'll do that for the demo. So basically, I built this repo called ClaudeBot Ready when I realized there was an opportunity for me to essentially set these up for people. Michael sent it to me first, actually, Michael Daigler, and I took a look at it and was like, not right now. Punted it a week, and then I installed it and immediately ran through like $100 worth of credits in maybe 24, 36 hours, something like that. So from that experience, I realized I didn't want to configure everything through ClaudeBot itself. I was going to configure it through Claude Code. So I'm going to kind of talk about that journey. And every single ClaudeBot OpenClaw that I've set up since then has been through Claude Code, through this repo that I built. All the tool configuration, custom tooling, your SolMD files, et cetera, everything in between. So. That is not what we're doing. Let's see. Quick break. Yo, Gary. I might not be smart enough to operate your computer. Gary. Oh, you gotta click.
Yeah, sorry. And then it should be good, right?
There we go. All right. Woo! Yay! Smart people. All right. So basically, you need your AI agents to run 24/7. So if anybody's using any kind of tool like amphetamine, not like it's a tool. It's a tool. It's a tool. All right. So keeping your machine on 24/7, very, very important piece. As I've set these up for clients, they're like, oh, it's not working now. I don't know what happened. All right, did you plug it in? Did you log in? Are you connected to Wi-Fi? It's like this entire laundry list of things. And I say that lovingly. I say that because the average person should have an OpenClaw. However, you have to approach this with a checklist, like a pilot. What all do I need to give this person so that they don't have enough rope to hang themselves, essentially? So security is complex, so I've been really just sticking to native macOS installations. My very first one that I ever did for personal use was on fly.io. Just spun that up. didn't have a great experience, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go directly on my device from now on. So that's kind of how I played that. Setup takes expertise. People in this crowd, y'all probably can figure it out, but ultimately you don't want to step in it. So it's better to just have a process that you already know works, and that's why we're doing this. Mac OS is underserved. I don't know if I agree with that slide, but yeah. Anyways, you can imagine having an app that you can reach from your menu bar and kind of see how everything's running, check status updates, things like that. I built that as well for one of my clients. It's pretty cool to have that. And deployment takes too long. For me, I think the fastest one I did was 20 minutes from start to finish through Cloud Code. Not super fast like these one-click YC, backed type of startups. I know you guys seen those kind of floating around. It's kind of weird. It's like 8 minutes and it works. But anyways, your choice. Both of these are free. So VM isolated, you can use that. You can run it on Mac OS's VM called Loom. Anybody heard of this yet? Okay. That's what happens when you're a docs nerd and you start reading everything. And that's what I did. I found this and I was like, oh, I can just run it in its own isolated environment on my M1 MacBook Pro at the time. So I did that. It works. It's awesome. Native Mac OS, already told you guys this. And then defense layers, in-depth, 5-layer thing for security, blah, blah, blah. Security is important, obviously. It's not my forte. I don't love it, but I might as well have all of it that I can and do it in a certain way that's up to snuff. I have a good friend that's been in security for the past 20 years, so I just run everything by him. He tells me what to do. I trust it. It's good. All right, so one thing that I've learned about doing this is sandboxing is underrated. Anybody here like a Claude desktop user from a while back, been using it for a while? Show of hands. Yeah. So I am like diehard. You get that one tool where you're like, man, this is it. This is going to change my life. And it really did it for me. Claude Desktop is that. It's like first love situation. I remember the first time I really got into MCPs, I ended up having 300 tools at once. And I was like, damn, I keep having to switch my chat up. I don't know why. Right? That's what happens when you're AI native. You don't know these things, you learn them, and then it's like, all right, cool. But essentially, there's sandboxing inside of Claude Desktop now, and it actually ruined a lot of the flows that I set up and figured out. Anybody else experience that, where it's kind of a little more clunky to move things around and kind of cumbersome? Anyways, in this case, OpenClaw, you want a sandbox. I have a sandbox called Just Bash. Anybody heard of Just Bash? I use Just Bash in order to run all my tool calls in a sandbox environment. Again, so I use a lot of sandboxing inside of this. I try to save my clients from themselves. When I was first setting these things up, I was like, hey, we're not going to put any kind of way for you to pay for anything. I'm sorry. You can get one of those vanilla Visa gift cards and I'll hook that up for you, but otherwise, no go. And then before Agent Mail came out, I was also adamant about not setting up Gmail or anything. So we didn't do that either. Took all the fun away. And then CloudBot as a service, obviously this is what I'm selling. Just let that slide in there. This is about what the pricing looks like for me. Go ahead and take photos. I'm gonna switch it as soon as you take the photo though, so it doesn't matter. I'm just playing, it's a joke. You gotta put a 7 on the end, that's marketing shit. Sorry for cursing. All right, so 5-pillar AI stack. I'll show you guys this one since y'all are here. I have not shown this to anyone yet. So, I work closely with a media buying agency. I come from the internet marketing world and in the data side. So 9 times out of 10, people were like, get out of here, nerd. We don't want to talk to you about data. It's not cool, right? And then AI comes around and it's like the sexy sister of data. And now everybody loves it and they want to talk about it. But really, as we all here know, data and AI are one and the same. They work together. So That said, I was like, you know what? It'd be really dope if I set up tools to do all my conversion tracking stuff, Google Tag Manager, server side, all that fun stuff. Attribution traffic, high-ros tools like that, setting up things for like triple well, pipelines from GHL to triple well, I've done it all, right? I used to do it by hand, so I've been doing this for 10 years. And I want to say 3 or 4 months ago, I set this whole thing up and my client was using it through Telegram. So he could spin up a brand new campaign on Meta or Google Ads and run it. He could also, this is the big one, go in and get full analytics on any campaign and understand how it's performing and get suggestions based on data. Say it with me, data. All right. So we're not doing hopes and dreams anymore, or hey, yeah, this is how I used to do it. I think I know the algorithm. You know how people get. No, we're doing everything based on data if we can. And that's what this allows. So you guys can kind of read that. Obviously, I've got a very specific stack of agents that I'm using for this to happen and orchestrating it all through Paperclip. Now, there's a really small box here. I need to work on my sizing for this stuff. But essentially, Paperclip is a tool that I use for like project management. I'm pretty new to it, but I like to experiment at home first. So I have a home assistant, like everybody here does probably, and I run it on a Raspberry Pi. But I run it alongside a local model for all the personal stuff that I don't want to send anywhere, and then I've got Hermes, I almost said Hermes again, but I didn't, and then I did. Hermes is my main agent that sits on top of Home Assistant. And so anybody do like automations at home or anything like that? Play around with agents for that stuff. Do it yesterday, right? That's how you learn to build these systems in a low stakes type of way. Obviously, don't do anything crazy at home with it, but get a hang of it maybe with just your lights or something simple at first. And it's a good place to run a local model. So I run a Raspberry 16 gig, and I've got plenty of space to do what I need to do with it. But anyways, enough of that.
You run your models on?
I run Quinn 3.5 for local stuff. And then I think I already said maybe Hermes runs on OpenAI's OAuth. So it natively connects. OpenClaw does too. So does anybody here run OpenClaw on OAuth illegally? I'm reporting you to the police immediately. So I know Gary, I don't know if you want people to know this or not, but he's gotten away with running it on Claude. And hats off to him. Obviously, Steinberger got acqui-hired, and now you can just natively connect to OpenAI, which is fun. So I have both accounts for different reasons. So for me, this is what's next. This is where the real sauce, as the kids would say, is. So the foundation is already kind of set. The next piece for me is like web intelligence. So Apify. Speaking of Apify, if you're not using Apify, you are sleeping at the wheel. So what I use Apify for is my favorite ones are Cloud Code Change Log Tracker, because I ain't got time to be checking it all the time. It comes into a main repo that I have called Organized Codebase. How many of y'all have heard of Organized Codebase? That's my tool. All right, Andrew. Yeah, nice. So Organized Codebase is my boilerplate that I put together so that I can have uniform project builds. And guess why you would want that? So that you can use stuff like Claude Dispatch and know exactly how it's going to be built. I build projects from scratch using cron jobs inside of Claude Cowork while I'm sleeping. So, hey, go to my chats and take a look at all the projects that I talked about but I haven't got around to building yet. And then it'll set it up because it knows how to set it up through Organized Codebase. I'm gonna send out a blast so y'all have access to that later. I'm getting off topic, my bad. So Apify is super dope because it can actually pick up every single changelog change from Claude, but I also do it for OpenClaw. So since I'm using a repo for OpenClaw to deploy from there, I send all the changelog updates there, and then I have an agent take a look at my entire monorepo and essentially say, hey, this update fits here, this update fits there. Do you want to proceed with updating your stack, right? So now I get a chance to do what I like calling punch above my weight. I am a big proponent of punching above my weight because guess what? I just started doing this a year and a half ago. So I don't have the traditional background, but I'm smart enough to use and leverage the tools and combine them in a certain way. So that's really the play there. Also, last thing, Apify has, well, I built an Apify actor that allows me to essentially monitor my Claude code session. And the reason I do that is because at the end of it, I say, okay, so out of everything I just did, are there any opportunities to create a skill? Any opportunities to create hooks? Any opportunities to create slash commands? Why? Because I used to spend a lot of time running things and then stopping in the middle of my flow. You know, you get into the flow, you want to keep going. Stop my flow and say, hey, let's create a skill real quick. And then I got to shift gears. I was like, no more of that. Anyways, hopefully that's useful. And then an interactive wizard. I think that just interaction is key. Having some kind of way to visualize how this works outside of just like the onboarding flow, obviously. And I'm going to show you guys this thing, Vibecraft, my homie Steven Tran put together. There you go. And that's really cool, but I'm going to show you in a bit.
Before you show it,
Yep.
I want everyone to have an opportunity to ask questions after the demo. So if you have a question, just scan this, and then it'll show up in our questions list, and we'll just go down the list. So we're going to take 30 seconds for that, and then we'll get to the...
I'm so clear that no one has questions, I'm sure.
Is there a way to make the screen bigger? Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, there we go.
You can, maybe not.
No.
But hey, if you actually scan it, you can get the, I should have said this in the beginning. If you scan this QR code, you'll be able to view the slides in your phone live. Should have said that before, I'm sorry. Let me know if it's working, by the way. You can see it? Okay. You're not going to be able to see the demo on it, but yeah.
So, sorry about this 6-point Helvetica font that I chose here.
Oh, sorry. Did you get the scan? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, let's go to the demo.
All right, bet. So, cross-platform, obviously, got to work in different places, especially as I deploy this to enterprise clients. Cloud automation sounds cool, would be cool. I'm lucky because I have 2-time exited founder who sits next to me every day, and he's an infra whiz, so he's helping me like really dial all that stuff in, and that's fun. And then lastly, the thing that I really care the most about being a data analytics guy is PostHog. So PostHog, if you know, is like a GA4 type of alternative, and it'll allow you to basically run analytics on LLM queries. And so imagine being in an organization and you got 5 guys on your team, they're all pretty good, but Todd is always like wasting tokens, asking dumb things inside the chat. And it'd be easy to find that out and figure that out and be like, hey, dude, we need to get you some training or stop. It's okay to laugh, maybe. Appreciate you. All right, so this is kind of cool too. Claw Hub Skills. I should have definitely renamed that. So these are from Claw Mart. If you guys are familiar with Nat Eliason, I think his name is. Yeah. So he created this Claw Mart where things are a lot safer, I've noticed. And basically, I have these audited skills that I ran through the gauntlet. These are some things that I'm already using. Some of them I'm not yet. That WhatsApp CLI is huge and helped me a ton with a project recently, actually, a group chat that I needed to pull some stuff from. Kind of ninja, kind of like...
Wait, how did you use that CLI?
Yeah, so I had a project with this VC that wanted me to essentially run an analysis and run some financial models on a project that they gave me access to. But I wanted to make sure that I pulled in everybody's viewpoints on what they needed to see. And I didn't want to sit there and go back and forth trying to prompt or figure out or just get the gist of it. I wanted to have the actual, like, they said this. And so the cool thing is when the pitch deck came out alongside the report, the pitch deck had them saying things in quotes, like verbatim, which was pretty dope.
So you were able to get actual WhatsApp messages easily, right?
Yeah, quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Okay.
So that's super useful. The best thing about this is everything's pre-wired. You just run the install command and you got it, right? And I'm going to send it, obviously, like, yeah, I'll send it out and you guys will be able to do it.
We'll make sure you get it.
So research automation, so you think of things like this. GOG is huge. Anybody using GOG right now? So essentially you want access to Google and Google Workspaces and all the things, right? Unless you like wrestling with GCP like I do, because I'm a madman, then you probably want to use a tool like this. Has anybody played around with Google Cloud Platform and like lost their hair? Yeah, yeah, it's a bitch. So that's the problem. All right, cool.
Wait, so talk more about the before and after, right? You said it sucked to click around in the Google Cloud Console.
Yep.
Right? What's the difference? And how are you now, what tool are you using to use the GOG CLI?
So I personally use not necessarily this one. This one's very popular. The GWS version of it is popular as well, but it's missing like the things that I like using: Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Google Ads. It's not wired for that, so I have like a derivative version of it, but I'm very comfortable in cloud platform. But the beauty of it is I wouldn't need to be if I just use this tool through OpenClaw. Now, obviously...
Or any agent, right?
Or any agent. The obvious thing here...
Because you can just speak English and it configures Google Cloud, et cetera, right?
Yeah, you could. Yeah. If you got like all your voice stuff kind of dialed in and tight.
Well, I'm not necessarily... I'm just saying that you're typing instead of clicking around the console, right?
Right. So there's this thing, right? I figured this out really early on in my AI journey. I don't have to like a tool's interface to find it useful. And a lot of times the UI makes you not want to deal with a tool, right? Obviously. So once I realized that, I was like, oh, that's how APIs work. If I just get them and I get access to them, I can do most of the functions without having to, deal with a UI that's a headache. And so that's kind of the mentality here is, hey, especially if you've got an MCP, you can use MC Porter, which is Peter Steinberger's version of like wrapping an MCP tool in a CLI. And you can use that to build your tools. That's where I started with the Google Ads meta stuff originally, was just through a wrapper.
So practically speaking, like if the tools you used to manually click around on have CLIs, then you're saving a lot of time to do the same things you used to do, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Like a lot of time.
A lot of time. Okay. So the caveat there is you have to have a pretty clear understanding as to what you need to accomplish. And so the prompt becomes a little bit more important. But there's this idea called reverse prompting that's kind of floating around. I can just say, hey, what tools do you have access to in regards to Google Cloud? And then it'll like list everything. And I've done this with like huge clients to where I set up like an entire GCP, what was it called? It was just a bucket essentially. And I needed to do it for the very first client I ever worked for. Got hired as an AI engineer, like 5 months of experience. They needed 5 years of experience and they hired me because I crushed this test that they gave me. Basically, they needed me to build something. I built it, deployed it. And they were like, holy crap, you did that really fast. How? And MCP servers at the time. Yeah, this is before Cloud Code. Anyways, there's that. So I know you guys can't see, so let me remember that part.
No.
But
well,
essentially these combos, so there's power combos is what it says. Morning intel, Twitter growth, token savings, content pipeline, self-improving. So these are all workflows that exist because of the tools you have access to. And these are examples. So if you run that install command, you can run the combo. And so basically it's unlocking real combos, real workflows from things that you actually need to build. Okay, so going into the future, co-work dispatch. Is anybody actually using that right now? Okay, awesome. So I love it. I love Claude. I'm a Claude fanboy if there ever was one. However, vendor lock is real.
what is vendor lock?
A vendor lock, it means you're locked into a vendor.
Wow,
so essentially, you want to make.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You want to make sure that you have access to the same version of that tool across any medium. And if you're really thinking about it, I want to be able to do that whether I'm online or offline. So for me, the answer is buying compute, having compute at home, right? Being able to do it that way because you want to be able to do things locally if you can. Cloud Cowork is great. I loved remote control. I thought that was really cool. I'm one of those gluttons for punishment, so I set up the Cloud Code loop function to basically go to Slack. And so I was operating Cloud Code through Slack for like maybe 3 days, and then I ran through my limit and had to sit out for 4 days and almost died. But during that time, guess what I learned? I was like, oh, I need to buy Codex now because it's time to learn Codex because I had avoided it for so long, right? So yeah, you want to be able to do the thing regardless of what tools you have at your disposal. You got to get like MacGyver. Maybe that's all too old of a reference. Y'all know MacGyver.
I got you.
All right, bet. Okay, cool. So the problem there, I just said it, both are Anthropic only. You don't want to only use one vendor. Also, almost forgot, subsidized tokens. Uber was cheap a long time ago. Airbnb was cheap when it first came out. Guess what's about to happen? Iceberg, Titanic moment. It's about to be a wrap. It's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
And it's going to get really expensive. So I hope you're making money.
So let's break this down. We have seen subsidized tokens during this period of time where there's a war between OpenAI, XAI, Google, Anthropic. Anthropic is basically the winner of agentic coding, basically the work suite. And so they are going to raise their prices very soon, / a lot of people have already experienced that the max plan is a lot less maxy these days. So
I never trusted it.
So learning like the first principles of what Claude Code, etc., represents is critical for you. So don't get overly attached to any vendor. And we both say this as kind of like Claude Code appreciators. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Right? This is just a principle. If you have so much dominance over a particular industry, you are like it's almost your fiduciary responsibility when you have that level of moat to increase your prices.
Right. To kind of add to that, there was a moment when they first started introducing rate limiting, right? And at the old Antler office, I was there and I was like, you know what? I need to figure out how to use OpenClaw code. I need to learn how to use Droid. And this is before I really understood, or they started talking about like harness engineering and what the difference is there, right? Obviously, Claude Code's the premier version, but you also might need to use the Temu version every once in a while just so that you have some flexibility. All right.
It's called Quen, bro. It's not
called Quen. What just happened? All right, cool. So the OpenClaw advantage, people dunk on OpenClaw, business people do, marketers do. I hate it because there's no such thing as a bad tool, I don't think, unless it really, really, really sucks. There's bad users. And if you're negligent or you're willy-nilly about it, you're gonna get a bad result. And then guess what? It's not it's not the tool's fault, it's your fault, right? If you wreck your car and you're driving really fast, guess what? Sorry. Yeah, anyways. OpenClaw's good. Use it. It's got a million variants. They're like Wu-Tang members. What did I just do? Oh.
You clicked, it's fine. How many? Yeah, we'll just hit the click through. Yeah, sorry about that. There we go.
All right. You guys get to see. We're almost there, guys. All right. Okay, if you want to, I threw this up there. Build your own agentic harness. Anybody watch Indie Dev Dan? I'm a big fan. I love his stuff because it actually looks cool, and he's good at coding.
Indie Dev Dan.
He's a YouTuber. Dev.
Indie, I-N-D-Y, right? Or
shit, I don't know.
Google will figure it out.
Yep. Claude will figure it out. So he's a big proponent of Pi. He kind of like got me onto that.
P-I?
Pi, yeah.
What is that?
It's an agent harness that's like super stripped down so you can customize everything.
What's an agent harness?
Oh my God. It's the thing that the LLM sits in. So basically a harness allows you to...
Oh, like Claude Code?
Yes.
Wow.
Do the thing. This guy. All right, so if you wanted to, right, if I want to build my own harness, I would start with Pi. That's kind of where I would go. And you would want to do that partially for tinkering, but partially for understanding how it works and why it works. We are in the age right now today that it benefits the person who's willing to get their hands dirty and look stupid and make mistakes and not really know what they're doing until they know what they're doing. I'm one of them, trust me. Do it just for the thrill of understanding. You're going to learn a ton. I will say this, the reason you can trust me is I've done over 120 projects, and each time I'm like, oh my God, from doing this project, I can now do X, Y, Z in this other project that I've been working on. So just keep on building. That's really the way. And I did it all on a $100 plan for Claude. I refused to pay them $200. And so you kind of get into this mode where you learn how to cache tokens, and I dug into that for a while. It's just a whole thing, man. Anyways, the last thing I want to say is a proprietary harness is a defensible mode. So if you've got a business, there's no reason why you shouldn't be tuning your own models. I'm not saying you got to do it tomorrow, but like in the next 6 to 8 months, use auto research. Auto research is super dope.
What is that?
Man, God. Look it up. Auto research allows you essentially
who like invented
Karpathy.
that? Who's Karpathy?
He's like this super dope ex OpenAI engineer guy who's like super popular. Anyways, you can fine tune models. You get access to ML. You get access to running tests in the background. Use it. I have a repo just for it, and then it goes across all my code bases and gives me like suggestions on things that I could be running tests on. Now, what I've learned is it works best whenever you have a black or white answer, right? That's going to be the best situation. Data has a new vehicle. It's an agentic harness. Data always mattered. I know. I've been in the industry for 10 years dealing with data and trying to like, it's like Chipotle, trying to like, hey, you want it like this? You want it like that? It's the same ingredients, but I'm trying to figure out a way to make people like it. But nobody likes data for some reason. Like, they either love it or they just are like, yeah, get out of here, nerd, right?
They like money.
So, they like money. So you use data in the context of AI, in a harness, and you understand what's happening, you log what's happening, and that's kind of how you tidy up these things. Yeah, so you guys can kind of see that harness flexibility matrix, kind of figured out how can I run a test where I see what those different changes are based on the harness that's involved as well. And last, finally, damn, I've been talking a long time, sorry guys. Tap in with me, $0 to deploy, but it does cost if you're gonna work with me. I'll help you build it if you need it and you need support. If not, do it on your own. It's a learning process. Again, if you use the repo that I'll share with you, but you gotta DM me on LinkedIn and follow me and like and share and, no, I'm just playing. just DM me on LinkedIn. I make money doing this, right? So I'm not gonna like just make it public. But if you're really curious of like the process I'm using inside of ClaudeClaw in order to deploy these, Tailscale, et cetera, tool building, proprietary tool building, there's a whole market that's gonna open up for this stuff, guys. So build plugins, build tools, build your way of doing things, build harnesses if you want to. I haven't even done that yet. But anyways, there we are.
Questions, what are your questions?
Oh,
Yeah, why don't you show Vibecraft real quick, and we have a few questions from the audience. What is this?
So this is a way to see, Steven, come help me. This is a way to see your agents and how they swarm and do all these things. But it's just a demo, but imagine being able to just see your agent do the thing and watch that happen, like gamified. That's kind of dope.
Well, Steven, why is it valuable to game it, like to have this like almost video game like UI over your agents?
I'm tired of looking at terminals, so this is a good way to monitor your agents, everything that's happening. So this is a fork repo, by the way, but was tired of managing agents through terminal. So this is a great way to monitor what the agents are doing and all the separate workflows that you're working on, because you don't want to spin up 8 terminals and read logs all day. But through this interface, you can actually see what the agents are doing. So imagine we can customize these modules so that each one is customized to your workflows, and you can see the agent like moving along and working and spinning sub-agents. And
These little guys right here are sub-agents.
Yeah, so it just makes it super easy to manage your workflow. And
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Awesome. Can we go back to the other, to the presentation on the bottom? Yes, sir. All right. Do you mind sitting over here, actually? We're going to do some questions with Jordaaan. Come sit down.
Oh, is that
yep.
what we're doing?
Yes, we are.
All right.
Yes, we are.
All right.
All right, we're going to go down the list. We're going to do a little speed round, because we have Travis coming. He's here, and he's going to join us very, very shortly. All right, we got 3 upvotes for, can you talk through the offers that separate the price points? What does 8K get that 3K doesn't get, et cetera?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but if you go to organizedai.vip and book a call, I will explain in detail with your use case specifically, right? So you'll understand exactly what you need based on your use case. I just threw that up there for you guys. It's not that deep.
Awesome. All right, next question is, you mentioned using Hermes agent with paperclip. Is this now your go-to setup instead of using OpenClaw?
No. So I'm going to continue to play around, experiment with the different claws. I've used NoClaw is kind of interesting, and I'm using that like zero runtime agent situation.
It's called NoClaw?
NoClaw, yeah.
Oh, it's like an actual fork or whatever.
Yeah, it's
you
awesome.
You like it?
I love it.
Why do you like NoClaw?
So I use it at home for like quick access to everything. So I can see it, but I can't really do anything. So imagine being able to give that to a client that you don't want to go in and mess everything up.
Cool.
It's perfect for that.
Nice. Observability.
Yep.
What is your biggest unlock within your workflow to date, and why?
It's got to be organized code base, plug, using it inside of Claude Code. When you set up every single, especially when you're new, and I consider myself new still, even though it's been a while and I've built a lot of projects and had some success or whatever, I'm still relatively new as an engineer. But when you build the same way every single time, the amount of variance in what breaks and what to fix kind of changes over time, right? I don't think I said that right. What I really meant there is it's easier for me to fix things because I'm not like getting all creative on the build. My creativity lives in the function that I'm creating, not in the project structure.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll do maybe 2 more. All right. other than VMs, what other security measures are you taking to prevent things like data exfiltration, like what happened with Light LLM recently?
So I'm going to have a conversation with my buddy, Bruno, this week, probably tomorrow, about what those next steps really look like. But what I've been doing is sticking to local only and then having everybody on their own like tail-scale network. And I only SSH in from one machine. You'll never know where it's at. So there you go.
All right. Final question. This is a great, just top level one. How are you getting clients? And like, what are the top 3 ways? Just, yeah, how are you getting clients?
So stuff like this. I've ran a successful business for the past 10 years, word of mouth only. I don't even have a website for blue highlighted text anymore. I don't need it. And it's not a flex, it's just a reality of how I set this up from the beginning. I started my career as a black hat SEO. Before I didn't know I was doing black hat, I was just manipulating things. And then I got obsessed with conversion tracking and I realized organic traffic is the best traffic, period, point blank, period. I'm not stopping your scroll, I'm not interrupting you. You are here, you're choosing my website, you're choosing my event, you're choosing my LinkedIn DMs for a reason, right? And starting from that standpoint, the intention is where it needs to be for me, and it's how I like to do things. I'm introverted, so I'd rather just kind of work with people who want to work with me, and they already know what's up.
Fire. Any final words for this audience?
Gary's awesome, and I appreciate you doing this event. I love this format. We've been doing a lot of panels together and stuff and building together. So I'm really excited to see what happens next, especially when these M5 Mac Minis come out and what we can get into.
I mean, these are my guys. Like I talk a lot about, well, basically on every call that I have, like every one of my calls and meetings with people that don't live in Austin, I'm like, come to Austin if you're not, super rooted where you're at, because it's builders like Steven, it's builders like Jordaaan that are also willing to share how they're making money in this new applied AI economy, that are, they're so generous and helpful, and they're so needed in this time. So one more time, round of applause for both Steven and Jordaaan. We're going to give you all, let's say, 7 minutes to go get a glass of water or head to the restroom. So the way you get there is down the hall here and to the left, and on the door on the outside you'll see a code for the men's and women's restroom. So we'll be back here at 7:30. All right, y'all. We're going to start in about 2 minutes. So wrap up your conversations, and we're going to hear some of the exciting updates from AI pioneer Travis Oliphant. Michael, can we get this little vibe?
Years of crossing plains and desert.
Wrap up your conversations. We'll have about. We're going to be respectful to the wonderful Antler VC folks, but we'll still have like 30, 45 minutes of conversation time after we wrap up all the programming. So thank you so much. I'm so glad you're meeting new friends. Huge point of this. So grab your seats, come to the front. We'll start in about 1 minute. If we can, and by the way, if you do want to continue the conversations, can everyone, if you do want to continue conversations, you can go over to the ping pong table area and still speak quietly. But we're about to start now. Travis, so good to see you. A little background is that we met a little over a year ago at an amazing summit that you put on about basically the future of America and how technology can be integral and positive for it. The MC of the event said, hey, go meet someone that you don't know yet. And you came up to me, of all people. And so I'm so grateful. I felt like this has been divine providence from day one. And the more I get to know you, the more I understand why you have the reputation that you have. You are like everyone that I talk to, you're like their favorite technologist. Have you ever heard like this person's like your favorite rapper's favorite rapper? Like that is the like legit technologists. Travis is their favorite technologist, and I am one of those people as well. You're building such amazing things with OpenTeams. I could not think of a person and you are a living ecosystem as well. You know that. There's amazing organizations built around you, and excited for you to share what you're building at OpenTeams that is, as the CEO, as the founder, that are going to help usher in the applied AI economy. You just came back from the NVIDIA conference, so later when we sit down for a little Q&A panel, I'm going to ask you some questions about what you've learned, what's top of mind. But until then, we want to hear your insights. So thank you for being here.
Wow, thank you, Gary. You can come speak at my funeral. Or actually just come talk to my kids. That might be a good idea. No, definitely, I've been really passionate about empowering people. Like that's still what gets me excited. I want to figure out how do we help. There's so many people that are needed to bring AI to everybody. And a lot of times you hear, a lot of money gets spent pushing towards singular sources of AI, and there's some amazing tools getting built. But I have seen the best technology be developed collectively with a bunch of people kind of cooperating. And there's a lot of opportunity here for that. So that's really what drives me, is how do we help people work together better? How do we go farther? And really since I came to business by way of science, kind of open source nerd swiping me from science, then business nerd swiping me from open source. Right, trying to figure out, okay, science cool, but nobody listens to my papers, but I write some open source. A lot of people use it. I get feedback on it, I have engagement. This is amazing. Then I do that, and then how am I going to pay for my kids if I'm just giving away my software? Oh, I better learn what business means. And so that whole journey has been just a journey of discovery. And I think that opportunity is ahead of us right now, amazingly ahead of us right now for everybody. So if anything, I just want to say a few things about what I think the opportunity is, why I'm passionate about it, why I'm so glad I met Gary, and so glad he's excited about building the Applied AI Society, and why we're willing to sponsor it and promote it and help it grow, both in my capacity as OpenTeams CEO and founder, and also in my capacity as a managing partner on a venture fund and an incubator. That incubator is there to help. I'll convey a little bit about, I'm very eager to help a lot of people grow businesses, and a little bit about how maybe we can help you, hopefully. There won't be too much sponsor talk here, but just a little bit, so that you can kind of understand how do we keep engaged, what drives us. So, there's a problem right now with enterprise AI. It's actually everywhere. Everyone wants it. Everybody's excited. I've never seen such a moment when every board person, every CEO is going, I got to do something with AI. AI is going to take my business away. And unfortunately, with all the money being spent, the answer is, go just get Anthropic, or go just get Perplexity, or go just get OpenAI. Go pick one of those horses, and that's what you do. It's like back in the 80s and 90s when they said, just buy IBM or just buy Microsoft. And you got some good solutions, but then what you found is it wasn't enough. It would sort of locked you into a particular channel of thinking. And AI is important enough. If you think about intelligence is not something you can really outsource. It's not something you can go, I'll just rent my intelligence from somebody else. How is that going to work, actually? That's not going to work. Yeah, so really what it does is it inverts the model, and it becomes really essential that and I haven't heard anybody talking about this inverted model enough, because basically instead of having what's happening right now is every single one of the SaaS platforms, Salesforce, Slack, you talk about any big vendor who has a distribution service now, they all have a distribution, they're all trying to be the center of your AI story. even while you have additional vendors who are trying to be the center of everything by giving you AI. They're all building great tools, but what's needed is you need to own your data, you need to own your future, and you need more flexibility. And the only way to deliver that is through an army of people who are actually building on top of tools with some shared abstractions. There's actually plenty of room to buy stuff still. In fact, people talk about the death of SaaS. Who's heard of that? SaaS is dead. Yes-ish. The issue is that relationships aren't dead. Enterprises take forever to change. So even though you can say, it's the same thing that happened when cloud first came out, back in 2010. Oh, cloud is the future. Everyone should use clouds. And it took 10 years before everybody was using cloud. Enterprise moves at a glacial pace. And even with an AI is forcing them to go faster and faster and faster, but they're still, they want to outsource accountability, ultimately. So even though, sure, SaaS might be dead, what I would say, the companies that survive are going to be companies that honor people's data primacy and are enriching other people's data with their own ideas, but that are taking accountability off the shelf. Because that's what companies will absolutely want to hand over, is please take accountability for this thing I don't want to deal with. Many of us are building solutions right now. How many of us are maintaining those solutions long term? And I'll just give a little plug for how we can help you. In fact, I would love to see every one of you go out and build solutions, and then when you get to the point where you're like, oh man, I don't want to maintain this, give me a call, right? We'll get people who can help maintain those solutions for you, and you keep going out and building more cool stuff. Because the maintenance part is going to be critical, and part of how we want to make sure that maintenance goes forward in a compatible way is with open source. That's why we promote open source standardization. We have an open source ecosystem called NumPy, which is essentially just an ecosystem of AI tools. And really, it's a labeling game. Like Nabari is less of a, here's some stuff that we're doing at OpenTeams, and more of a, here's a curation we're doing to label the tools that people are using that win. That's really what we're doing with Nabari. Now, the nabari.dev webpage, because it's been around a little while, hasn't quite caught up with that vision. But you can go there and you can see what's happening. It's what we were doing for data science, machine learning. But where we're heading is helping people, everyone, kind of share best practices. So enterprise AI has a problem, but you're a beacon of hope against it. This is why the applied AI society to me is something, in fact, the only complaint I have with Gary is, Gary, why don't we have 10 of these events all over the country today? Right, Austin's awesome, yes, but there are literally the same energy in 10 other cities that has to happen right now. So how do we because we literally need to take 10,000 people this year and get them all excited about, no, AI is going to take some people's jobs, but if you learn how to use the tools that are available right now, you're going to go create new jobs, create more than the jobs that are being replaced. And okay, even if you're older, you can still jump in, and it's not that hard. I don't want to sugarcoat it. There are challenges. Some of the challenges, though, are things you've learned. It's challenges of human relationships, challenges of listening, challenges of understanding, challenges of empathizing, challenges of understanding the domain you're dealing with. These are the real issues, because you as a person may have tools in your belt, but you know what the customer really wants, and you really can't unless you understand their domain. Python became popular because it allowed lots of people who weren't programmers to go in and had understanding of their domain to use computing to make something happen for them. That's why it became popular. And with AI now making the computing language of the future be English or other languages eventually, now anybody can enter that game. Theoretically, there's still challenges, as there were when Python became popular. Lots of Python code got written that was not maintained very well, and essentially there's a whole term for scientific code. We're going to have a whole term for kind of newbie applied engineering code. But we have the AI tools improving. So all of a sudden you have, oh, here's my agent that's starting new code. Oh, here's another one that supervises it. And then you, the human operator, is putting the accountability harness, the verification systems. So whether it's code verification, test verification, or just judgments that somebody has to make. That's the opportunity I see, and everybody needs it. But what we have to have, what I'm excited about, is distributed ownership. I tell people all the time, they're worried about jobs. AI is going to take my job. Yeah, it might. That's not the problem. The problem is AI going to concentrate wealth more? That's the problem. Wouldn't we all love to have AI take our jobs? We can only work 10 hours a week or 0 hours a week and still have a great life? Yeah, please take my job. That'd be awesome. But I still need to be able to live. I still need to have some accountability with somebody. I still need to be able to serve other people. That's what's the issue. And when ownership is distributed, that happens. That works. When it's not, it doesn't. That's my biggest concern right now, is we have a real risk of essentially returning to AI feudalism. But you're the beacon of hope to actually make that not happen. And I actually have a lot of confidence that it's not going to happen, despite the billions of dollars being invested in just only a few companies. Like, I'm not against capitalism. I'm not. I'm totally for market transactions when it's governed by billions of people, or many, many people, many, many owners. That's what separates the wisdom of crowds from the madness of mobs, is coherence. If you have too few people making decisions, you get the madness of mobs. When you have lots of people independently making decisions, you get the wisdom of crowds. So I want to show NumPy. NumPy is essentially our open source ecosystem, so you can build custom intelligence hubs. I'll show later kind of a vision of the future that I'm thinking about and seeing and believing that if we had it, everyone would be better off. But right now, it's basically a set of layers and a set of tools. I actually talk about NumPy in terms of 4 rings. I don't have the diagram here, but I would. Ring 0 is like just key tools. If you're using one of those rings, you're using NumPy. For example, what's in ring 0? Not very much. There's a environment manager tool that we're actually soft releasing on Wednesday, built around Pixie, built around environment management. Some of you know me from Anaconda days. And Anaconda, one of its key things was getting the tools in the hand of people and doing it in a modular way. A lot of the technology that we developed there actually didn't spread, and that's a longer conversation. If you catch me, we can talk about the problem with Python packaging. There's more to it than you sometimes hear. Unfortunately, I know all the gory details. However, there is still the power of, I'm less about packages, I'm more about environments. How do we give people quick environments and make them repeatable and modular so you can actually reduce that? That's one key thing in ring 0. Another thing is a Go binary that lets you have a repeatable with access-based controls, so you can then just run processes in. So how do you kind of stitch these things together? And then ring 1 is recommended tools. Here's a bunch of tools you might pick from as you're building your agentic harnesses, your accountability layers, your tools around that make actually AI work. Here's a set of tools that might help you. Ring 2 is, this is a vetted set. Anything in ring 2 and ring 1. We have people that if you get into trouble in our network of partners that can come help you. Maybe they're contributors to the code, maybe they help sustain it. One of the things I'm very passionate about is helping make sure the open source communities that go undergird the economy that we're building on are supported. Unfortunately, a lot of companies don't do that. There's several errors they make. The vast majority of companies, either they just take the tools and build stuff and don't give back to the community, or they'll just kind of capture the community by hiring all the people, which is good. I mean, that's better than just taking and not doing anything. But then sometimes it's like you've just captured the community and now you've gone from company back to community driven. So we really try to help sustain these open source ecosystems. But that's NumPy. So, and NumPy is, you can use it, you don't use it. We say it's not a lift and shift. When we go into a place and say NumPy, we say, what are you using? Oh, it looks like you're already using 70% of NumPy. It's more, what's the score metric of how much of NumPy you're using? And sometimes, especially with this crowd, I'm like, well, what are you using? What are you doing? Well, let's see, that probably should be in ring 1 or ring 2 of NumPy. And so we're constantly adjusting what it means to be in NumPy. And then we're caring about those communities and how are they sustained and supported. So we're not just harvesting. And of course, at the same time, with Claude Code and code generation, what does it even mean to have a community around code if some of the code, we can actually get rid of it? We don't need it because we don't need that open source project anymore because AI can generate it, right? So there's a lot of that happening too over the next 5 years as well. So the whole ecosystem is being disrupted. I want to see it disrupted by an army of people collaborating, not just a couple of voices that are bottlenecking mental models. That'll be the worst outcome actually, because we're all better with all of our ideas and our thoughts rather than a few kingpins. So our core philosophy in NumPy is own your assets, own your intelligence. We have recommended available tools. And then I mentioned the distributing the wealth. So the future is absolutely coordination, not consolidation. That's the one thing, if you take away, is I don't have any problem using Claude, using OpenAI. Do. In fact, they're subsidizing use of GPUs, so do that. Go ahead. But as you're doing it, just be aware of what you're giving away. Make sure that what you're giving away is not your most important data, your most important information. And for your clients, make sure you're not hooking them up to be a complete dependent, a vassal state to another company, essentially, which could happen. Been to Europe lately? Been to Europe? Europe is right now worried, and they're not wrong, that they are essentially a vassal state to Silicon Valley because they don't have their own infrastructure. Everyone relies entirely on Amazon and Google, and now they're all worried about it. So this message is actually resonating heavily there. Everyone's scrambling, trying to figure out how to get their own story. it's less concerning. People in the US are less concerned, but I was so grateful, and we'll talk about this hopefully with Gary. Jensen just doubled down and kind of told everybody that actually, and it's for his benefit, I get that. We told everybody, look, open models are going to work. You're not going to stay behind, you're not going to get behind if you don't just always go with Claude or with OpenAI. The open models, they're putting $26 billion into open models. And so and the other aspect of open models is not everybody needs a generic model. Not everybody needs to have a model that's serving a billion people in the public world. You need a model that serves your company, your business. That can be smaller and more specific, and actually we've got numerous examples of that where it's more tailored, and it can be even smaller and even better because you're not trying to answer every question. You understand questions that you care about, and it may be one of 100 models you're deploying inside your organization. So this is kind of the vision of what we'd like to see and what we think is possible today. Effectively, every company will have a hub, a place where you call it an agentic hub, call it AI hub. Looking for a name here, actually. You don't have a solid name for this, but people are building these now. And you basically build one for your department, and those interact with each other. And then instead of each person having 15 SaaS products they're trying to interact with, you've got UIs and data enrichment capability coming to your intelligence hub. And then we've got examples of this. We show people, we've actually built it for some people. We have an education product, for example, where you have AI tutoring, AI learning, class preparation, mental health, and then you have another speech language pathology app but from somebody else, but you just integrate it. So app integration should, instead of being a pain, which it is right now, it should come by default because the AI helps you because it's all integrated. So you end up with that. And then a company may have a fabric internally as they grow, and they have lots of them, and they're all interconnected. And then as you have many of those interconnected with each other, now you have a world of interconnected hubs, and then how does that work? You have this is a distributed, decentralized AI economy that I would love to see. I think it's totally possible. I think it changes the way companies buy and sell from each other. And what's happening right now is there's a few companies that want to be the gate on that. Rather than being an enricher to other people's data, they want to put the toll roads up and they want to be the gate. I don't think we can accept that. It's going to happen if we don't do something different. I don't think that's a better outcome for all of us. What I tell those people is, look back in the past. You used to have in Europe kingdoms, and everyone was a serf on somebody else's kingdom, and those kings lived really well. People today live better than those kings because we have a distributed economy with lots of participants. So we're going to be much better off with a distributed AI economy than just with a single couple of winners. So that's what we want, and that's what we can build. That's what the open source ecosystem and the millions of people over the past 20, 30, 40 years who have collaborated to build us, to gift us, to give us this legacy. We need to take that and then move it to the future like we can. So very excited for that, but it does take all of us. Not one person can do it, everybody does it. So you are the agent of change, and time to act is now. I think that's really pretty much all I wanted to talk about right now.
Wait, go back.
Okay.
Well, talk about the compounding.
Oh, compounding, yes. Thank you, yeah. The compounding effect. The fact that you start now, it benefits. Actually, what I'm seeing right now is senior engineers, senior marketers, senior salespeople that are becoming agentic, and it really hasn't been possible except for the past 6 months. 6 months, the models have gotten good enough and then we've had examples of agentic loops. And you have to apologize. I really don't love the word agents because to me, agency is such a powerful thing that humans have, is the ability to choose, the ability to be agents, that I really have a hard time calling these token predictors, these loop token predictors an agent. It's a powerful tool, love it. It's really cool what it could do, and especially when you put it in concert with other loop token predictors and with accountability harnesses that give verifiability locations, like that system becomes amazing, actually. I just don't like calling it an agent, but I'm gonna lose that battle. So agentic loops, they compound. And that's one thing, actually, I'm emphasizing with everybody that works with me right now. If you're not actually using agents, learning how to make them part of your life, helping make you better, you're falling behind, and people are getting less capable.
So Travis, speaking of compounding, would you say vendor lock-in also kind of compounds?
Absolutely, vendor lock-in compounds.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely compounds. The one constant, I've been consulting with big companies. Really, when open source, when my library started to get adopted by big companies, that was the one way I could see, okay, I can go and consult with them. So I went to lots of big companies. I haven't really worked at a big company, but I've consulted with the biggest. And what you saw is they were all struggling under the vendor lock-in of the past. So a lot of them really don't want to do that again. Some of them have actually started their own stories, but it's not easy because it costs a lot to own your own system. AI has changed the build versus buy equation, but it hasn't changed the do I want to be accountable for this or not? What size of group do I want? This is the key, I think, for the future is specialization will still matter. Doing things that you do really well will still matter. And then trading with others, that thing. And then how do you make that surface of trade based on compatible standards, based on a situation where you if you're not providing service to somebody, they can walk away from the relationship. That's what vendor lock-in makes impossible, is that basically you can't walk away because you got bad service. They've got you stuck. And it may not matter initially, but it starts to matter for a long, long time. So yeah, the vendor lock-in compounds, and we don't want that. We don't need it. What you want is relationship lock-in. That's my view, and you can do that. Trust also compounds. Relationships also compound, and if somebody trusts you and they'll still be buying from you if they trust you, that will still matter. And that's what you can, everyone here can do that today, is start building that network of trusted relationships that'll be important to your economic as well as spiritual survival in the future. Great. Should we sit down and have a conversation?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You have some questions?
Yes, sir.
Is this going to be turned off? If it's not, I'll just show this picture.
No, yeah, great. Perfect. All right, we're going to first go through some audience questions, and then I have some of my own. All right, so the first one is, what are your thoughts on NVIDIA's NumClaw? Have you thought about that at all?
A little bit, yeah.
And why do you think they even launched that?
Yeah, that was really fascinating because NVIDIA, Claw came out in January. I'm quite sure they had their GTC program pretty much planned. And I can just imagine Jensen running around going, we're going to change this. I know a little bit about that because one of my really dear friends who was a student of mine runs the Nemotron group.
You were a professor?
I was a professor, yes.
Where?
At BYU. I was a professor of electrical and computer engineering. I taught signal processing, all the math problems, all the stuff people hated but I loved. Mm-hmm. Applied math, probability theories, electromagnetism. And I had a couple of students. I taught a class on inverse theory that I loved teaching. One of my students in that class, awesome guy, he ended up being one of the people that convinced Jensen to make CUDA useful for science. Wow. Which led to NVIDIA's dominance right now. It's a funny story. 5 years ago, I had a contract with AMD to help bring the ROC-M, their hardware, to the SciPy ecosystem. Went really well. The first version of it went really well. The senior person killed the project because he said, GPUs are for gaming. Yeah, exactly. I said, this is not a good idea. I didn't foresee generative AI, but I could definitely foresee that science matters and that people are going to innovate if you can let them. But Brian Catanzaro made that switch, and he was there. Because of that, I got on the front row of the world model conversation. It was actually a lot of fun. But Nemotron, I think the NumClaw was created because Jensen saw, over the past year, he realized, somebody convinced him, I heard a couple of people tell me the story, that he doesn't want just 10 customers. NVIDIA also is not excited about the hyperscalers being the only providers of AI and data. They want 1 million customers, 1 billion customers. So how to get that? Well, they saw this Claw thing happening, and they went, oh, but wait a minute, Claws, that's all going to the Mac Mini. We need to get them on the NVIDIA hardware. And so NumClaw is essentially their distribution tool for getting all y'all to get DGX boxes. Now, I'm not commenting on whether a Mac Mini or DGX box should do. I'm like, yes, all of it. Go see, go make it happen. But that's why. And they moved quickly to kind of brand it. Ultimately, to me, the Claws are a meme. Right? They're not really a technology, they're a concept. Yep. Right? Because the technology itself is this has been there for 4 years. Yep. Lots of people could do it. Nobody did because they're like, oh, the security problem is hard. Took somebody going, caution to the wind. Who cares? Let's see what happens. And I like that, actually. Sometimes it's worth experimenting. You can be totally overcautious. Now, if someone's consuming that, be aware that it's not, it's not got your... It might take your credit cards and buy stuff, but super fascinating. And I was really thrilled to see that coupled with Jensen's previous decision to promote the distributed AI economy, basically, just made the announcement of GTC that much richer.
Speaking of claws, a lot of people are wondering, is this a fad? It is a meme. Memes kind of go up and down, right? So someone asked, what signals do you know that something you're working on has lasting value rather than being a short-term trend? Because we don't want to be just tracing trends, right?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know all the answers. I'll tell a couple of things. One is, once other people started telling a story that I had previously been telling, I heard it from other people, and in fact, I'd heard it better than I was telling it, that was a good signal, right? And I think that's true if you kind of look and say, where is this coming from? Because things can happen just because someone pushes it, right? And you just push it, you spend enough marketing money, you spend enough effort and get it out there and people do it. But you can tell it doesn't really take off until that someone shares it with someone else. So, everyone does their best guess of knowing what that will be like, but you have to just observe and see if it's happening or not. Kind of the same thing that makes things viral. So now, whether they're going to last, I think that comes down to are they solving a problem people have fully. So the claws, for example, the concept of claw will last. The idea of a bunch of bots running around with crazy things happening, I don't think that's going to last very long. I mean, it will last, it'll continue, but like in research groups because there's a massive need for this actually. And a lot of enterprises, you see, they're so locked down, they can't innovate. The big companies, that's what I see over and over again. Finally, some people, and now I can say this to people, like, oh, let's talk about a sandbox. Let's talk about a research sandbox. That word can unlock actual innovation in an organization that's otherwise ossified, because they'll go, oh, I can just isolate it from my production system. Yes. I'm not talking about changing the production system and leaving that to the whims of a developer, but let's have a place for exploration. And then you can have 400 of those, because every department can have their research sandbox. When you do that, it unlocks a lot.
So you're pointing out like the power of language to change organizational behavior. You want to riff on that a little bit?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit in our little. I don't know if it'll ever make it to the light of day. We had a nice conversation about this in my house. Yeah, language matters, and I would say deeper that ideas matter and how we share ideas with each other. I'm not an expert at it, but I've tried to become better at it over time. I started as an introvert, by the way. I heard before the other guy said he was an introvert. That was me. If you'd have seen me in high school, that guy's an introvert. Total nerd introvert. But language helped. Like when you start to unlock words matter. So that's why, we're trying to name the society. We're going to call it, right? Because there's a thing here. There's a thing that needs to exist. There's a thing that needs to motivate. That needs to grow, and words can help.
Yeah, I mean, we're, with Applied AI Society, we were having this, like, a conversation, we're just catching up in November. And I was like, Travis, what you're doing is Applied AI. And it's also incredibly important that people understand that it's not just like chatbots and AI boyfriends and girlfriends. Like, AI has a tremendously powerful purpose, right? To ultimately make it easier to support people's human flourishing, and that's something that we're it just feels so good to know someone that's so committed to that and applying technology in that way. So we kind of saw it as inevitable that businesses were going to apply AI, and we also see a huge responsibility to really I'd say steward and shepherd and be Sherpas for this moment, as people are going to pick certain tools and have certain mindsets around it, but they should we need to be able to say things like vendor lock-in, because we absolutely care about people's sovereignty, people's freedom, people's ability to generate value without being completely dependent on a particular vendor. Do you want to well, let's go to the next question. So we have, do you still do low-level programming? And if so, how has your experience been with using AI for it?
Yeah.
It's time to get back in the game.
I know. I am hopeful that with AI I can do more, because I have a ton of stuff in my head that needs to get out. So I have not for a while. Usually it's puzzles and little problems. I'll pick a little issue and try to fix it. Mostly I've been doing agentic coding through other people for a while, right? That's why it's kind of like, I've got 5 people here, and here's an idea. Let's do this. Here's the architect. Let's go see what you do. The nice thing about these AI agents is they don't have attitudes. They don't have egos. I love egos, actually, because that's actually the rich part of human experience, is other people's egos. And if you don't see that, then that's actually one of the things you're missing in life, honestly. But I want us as humans to spend our time engaging that way, and not that's the nice thing about intelligent machines, is we still need to get stuff done. And wouldn't it be great if we can have a way to do that, have intelligent machines that help us get things done, and we can treat our human interactions as more special, right? So we have the mental model. I'm not going to order somebody around. That isn't possible, because that's a human that is a unique individual with a DNA that's never been replicated. That even if it's replicated, the combination of DNA and brain mapping is unique in the universe, and it won't be replicated again. That is an awesome responsibility. So what we want is to get the most out of that from everybody. So I was really moved by the philosophers of the 18th, 17th century who talked about what it meant to be human and why that's a divine thing. Even if you don't believe in God, it's still divine in the sense of it's worth something more than just to be used as an ends to your cause, as a means to your end. Ends, humans have an end. So that's important, that people have that connection to each other. And intelligent tools can help us get there. I'm generally bullish, but I recognize the dangers. And I think we're going to have to learn better. We're going to have to, and that's a big question, because unfortunately, I don't think we've really honored each other's value enough to begin with. Even our education system was kind of geared towards making factory workers and making people who could then work on a system. And we need an education system that actually enriches people and makes them the very best version of themselves they could be. And we need that more and more and more today, too.
Okay, on the note of, well, first clap. Let's go. Travis, what do school systems and overall the structures that support the formation of a good human need to inculcate in people today?
Yeah, we should have a roundtable conversation about this, honestly. I can give you a couple things on top of my mind, just having gone through the experience of teaching at a university level and having started several businesses and learning about what it takes to run a business and all the different gaps that exist in people. But I would say, like, number one is you have to have a recognition of the value of others. Like, number one, you've got to sort of come out of education. Now, we're all wired that way a little bit. Number two, I've been really realizing, and I'm kind of how do we get here? How do our brains work? How do we get to the way we are? We fundamentally know how to live as tribes. We fundamentally know how to live with a group of about 150 people. And if you're not if you don't go to school, you can learn how to do that, and you'll do it really well. Our world isn't that way anymore. So if we all went back in time, we'd be fine. There's no need for education. We don't live in that world. We live in a world that's interconnected. We have ideas that have to be understood. And it's more than reading, writing, arithmetic. It's actually ideas of how do humans interact with each other. One of the big things I realized much later in life is, profit seeking is not evil. It's just a thing. It's just an objective way to allocate resources. How come I never learned that? You can use it for evil, you can use it for bad, but it's actually just a way, I call it sometimes economic calculation. It's simply a way to allocate scarce resources in a distributed fashion without a bureaucracy, without someone having to be in charge. Whoa, that's amazing technology, actually. That's an amazing concept. I didn't learn that in school. I should have learned it by the time I was in 8th grade. I didn't learn logic well enough. I love math, but I see a lot of people hate math before they even get a chance to learn logic. Why? Probably because we teach it poorly. We worry about arithmetic and memorization.
We frame it up poorly. We don't explain that it's relevant to everything.
Correct. And I've seen so many times as a teacher, as a boss, people lacking in what essentially is fairly straightforward mathematics, that they have a way to learn, but our numeracy is so weak compared to our literacy. Our literacy is actually decent. Yes, there's people who are falling behind. Yes, there's need, and I'm hoping we can use AI tailored tutoring to actually help people come up to speed and get reading. Everybody should know to read. Everybody should know to write, basically. Everybody should have some basic form of literacy. Not calculus, not even algebra necessarily, but be able to think logically. I think we need to be aware of our cognitive biases. There's so much neuroscience we've learned that, this is helpful because we can know where we have these cognitive biases. Why is that important? Because you are being manipulated all the time. You're being manipulated by advertisements, by news, by anybody with an agenda. You're being manipulated by me right now, right? If I don't know I'm doing it, right? You need to be able to discern and we don't prepare our children and ourselves with that information. So I think these are the things that we're missing, I think. And then I would do education with K through 8, a formal set of things that are necessary for you to live in a distributed global economy. And then 9 through 99, you have this modular learning pathway where you can learn you can enjoy and learn all the things. I would love to see colleges actually have, think about music departments in colleges. Right, music is something, art, music, these wonderful things that we do as a society, they're actually hard to make a living in, right? They're hard to kind of train. If you're going to school to form a profession, music's not necessarily the right one. But it's amazing if you're an adult. We should have people going back to school to learn art and music, and that would be a huge source of opportunity for these universities. So making university education, even high school university, a 9 through 99, not just it's something you do once, then you're done. And a whole host of electives that we're learning. That's what I'm excited about. What happens when we don't have to work? Instead, we're just able to learn, engage, share with each other the beauties of art and all this stuff. But we have to change some of our systems and our expectations. So anyway, I think the world is exciting, but it's going to take us 20 years at least to migrate to some of those concepts. Because humans are slow. We don't change our opinions very quickly. We all know that. We're all just slow moving. And that's why enterprises are slow moving. That's why even if you feel like you're behind, you're not. Even if you feel like, oh my gosh, I've already lost, no, you haven't. There are so many businesses out there that still haven't gone through the digital transformation, much less the AI transformation. So there is massive opportunity out there to still help people build.
Well, I'd say if you're here, you're super early, and you should keep coming to these events. And so glad you're here. We have a question of how will software engineering change over the next few years? I talk to a lot of senior engineers, and most of them are really skeptical of letting coding agents run wild.
Yeah, they should be skeptical of letting them run wild, for sure. But most of them are starting to use them themselves. I think software will change. Software engineering will change. A couple things. The patterns we've learned from the past are still the patterns we learned from the past. What we see right now is a whole lot of new people learning those patterns by their agents. Now, what's interesting, I think...
You're talking about like software design patterns?
Software design patterns.
Yeah.
Things like, do you need to say it 3 times? But ultimately, some of these will change because some of the reasons for architectures that existed before aren't going to exist. I know people have various opinions about Elon Musk. I listen to the guy. I think he has a lot of brilliance, and I think he loves humanity. I don't know if he loves actual humans, but he loves humanity. But he's got good ideas, and one of them is like throw it away. Like you should be throwing things, throw things away so you're not optimizing stuff that doesn't matter. And I think that is definitely true. We've got some of that in our software engineering practice where people have optimized what doesn't matter. And I think what the new era will allow us is faster iteration. But I still think it's worth picking up a software engineering book and the design patterns of the past and saying, well, what have they learned already? And what of that is still here? In fact, take that book, give it to your agent, and see what it makes of it. Right? And then what are they going to do? So I think that's the thing that we should be thinking about is let's feed some of this knowledge to the agents and see how the token predictors interpolate that information into a way that we can understand. The biggest challenge is going to be, there's a Nate, anyone watch Nate Gold? What's his last name? He's a YouTube video guy, wears the hat, super articulate, right? Really like him. He said something that sticks with me, I think is very true. These software agents are really good at handling long context. They're not very good at judgment under uncertainty. That's still where humans have a much better story. And it's really important in a process, and I think that's one of the key things about agentic work, is in this process, where do I need the judgment under uncertainty? Because the verification is critical. You can't just turn agents loose and hope. There's got to be somewhere where there's a verification happening, and it's either a human verification, or you can also have another agent verifying it. Or, let's not forget, there's been 100 years of computability thought. I mean, our forefathers, our foremothers have given us tremendous capability in terms of Turing completeness and algorithmic design and computability. And you can prove things. Not everything, but some things. So when you can actually say, oh, here's a test, the agent produced code, and I can have another compute system, not a token predictor, but an actually Turing computer, execute this code and verify that it's correct, great, do it. That gives you a verifiability you're comfortable in. So learning to combine, the token predictors give us another system that when put in conjunction with our other systems, databases, formal computing systems, gives us another powerful component that can lead us to another iteration of capability. But iteration is the key, and learning from the past is the key. So I'm excited by the future of software engineering. I'll say one more thing. Many people don't realize, so I'm a big Python advocate, I have been, but I'm an advocate for humans. I'm an advocate for human-computer connection. And what I loved about Python is it gave more people the ability to connect to the computer. That is just amplified 100-fold, 1,000-fold. That's going to be amazing. And the key to, we saw it in the Python community, the iteration between even in the Python community today, it's this rich ecosystem of participants, but there's still some people that are kind of the hardcore computer science people who think, no, this is the way computing must be, this is the way it looks. And you'd have kind of the scientist crowd over here going, okay, but I'm not quite sure I understand why that matters, and I need this, right? And that's true of any social structure, right? You have the people that are tribe. I think that we'll see this more and more as applied AI brings more people to the table. There'll be more tribes, right? There'll be more concepts. There'll be more, this is the pattern for this community. So one, allow it. Don't assume that there's, we have a tendency, because of our minds, we want to have our tribal mind. We want there to be a leader. We want there to be somebody who's like telling us what the answer is. But we live in a world that's more complicated than that. And we live in a world of multi-leaders, multi-capabilities, multifaceted, and that can happen. And what's awesome is that's beautiful, actually. So let that happen. You'll have tribe, you'll have tribal help. Python succeeded because it had enough willingness to allow for that, whereas like some other communities would shut that down. That even though I was part of the scientific tribe, I could participate, and they wouldn't just like cut me out entirely, even though I'd say things they would understand. Like Guido was great. Guido van Rossum, who's the creator of Python, he and I built a great relationship. But he was constantly kind of like, I'm confused by you. I don't really know why you care all about that, all that stuff. But okay, I'll not have to completely understand it and allow this to happen. But it was still challenging, and Python packaging is actually still a victim of that challenge. But that's another story. So I think leaving space for people is going to be really critical, and then leaning into the thing you know and just and driving forward. And it's okay if it's a little different, but take feedback.
So I want to circle back to something you said about when you were like, wow, business is a really great technology, right? Finding your specialization is basically great technology, and a lot of businesses. Just to maybe oversimplify a little bit, but I think it's a helpful mental model, is basically like you and your unique specialty. Again, whether you believe in God or not, it's like, you have a set of very unique characteristics, one characteristics that if you find something that maybe even to start one person really values, and you can basically more easier than ever with OpenClaw or NemoClaw, etc., build a kind of like a Jarvis suit around you. Yeah. I'm curious if you thought about this almost like kind of jetpack sort of metaphor where the human and what makes them really special is still at the center.
Yeah, not entirely, just starting. In fact, just recently, in my company, OpenTeams, I've told everybody that they need to get agentic workflows. They need to essentially put on that jetpack and start using it.
They need to build their Jarvis
They need
suits.
to build it. And essentially, for everybody with engineering, so I'm letting the engineering team kind of make their own way because they're already pretty ahead of the curve. But everybody else in the company has to go through the product team. So the product team is essentially building that jetpack for our internal uses. And then we'll share some of that with the outside world. A lot of it will go into the open source ecosystem of Nabari. Some of it might go, and it really depends. What we can talk later about the difference. Why should it be open source? Why should it not be? We can have that conversation. But the things that don't become open source are because they're going to help a company, and they're not really geared towards creating a community. It's more of just there's a lot of, you can tell whenever you have a free product that just has a lot of users and not many contributors, that it really doesn't matter that it's open source. It just needs to be free, right? Open source means you're trying to get contributors. You're going to try people who can participate together in this thing. If you're not trying to do that, then it's just a gimmick, and you should just make it closed and free. But we're making people use product. It's an idea you might try, right? Inside your organization, even if you're the CEO and can tell people that this is what we're going to do that. But even if you're CEO of one or two, right? But if you're in a department, and just take ownership of your own story and start doing it. Like 6 months ago, even though we hadn't said it, I really admire the people that were doing that 6 months ago. And now they are farther along in our company than others who didn't.
Powerful, beautiful. I think you're an amazing leader of people, and I think you are on the path to be a role model on how to be a leader of agents to run a company. 2 questions. What makes you a good leader? And also, where are you falling short? And how are you rectifying that?
Wow, that's a lot of questions, actually. I would say I don't know that I'm a good leader. I think one thing leadership exposes is all your flaws. And so I think if you're, and so I suppose I honor that, and I allow for it, and I look for people to help fill the gaps. Like, that's fundamentally what I keep trying to do, is I have the flaws, acknowledge them, try not to have them hurt people too much, and then try to fill the gap. I think, honestly, for me, true leadership starts in true caring. Like, I'm a real believer in the upside down model. Like, sometimes we put the organization chart with the person at the top. I believe it actually starts at the bottom. That if you're a leader, you're supporting people. That's really what your goal is. And I can't do it unless I actually sincerely love the people that I'm supporting. So if I'm not, then that's a problem, and I really can't be leading that organization or that group or that tribe. So to me, I think that's where it's rooted. And as I have been able to do that, I've found that the effect I've had has been productive and positive. So if that's, that's what I would say about good leadership. What am I doing to rectify it? Honestly, it's sometimes I've gotten burned out, right? And then when I've been the worst leader is when I've gotten burned out. And therefore my focus turns inward, and I'm just tired. I don't have the energy to do that. And so then what I'll do is, essentially, you have to meditate. You have to kind of, retreat, meditate, get centered again. Think, even if it's just spending time with people you love, doing something you love to do, go into nature. For me, it's been spirituality, it's been prayer, it's been things that, connecting back to God. That's what matters, I think.
You empower us and keep us accountable.
You empower us and keep us accountable, absolutely.
Thanks, Tyler.
Maybe one final question I have for you is, one way I'm thinking about how what Applied AI Society should be doing is enabling as many people as possible to support the applied AI literacy and fluency of everyone that wants to be up-leveled. And so I take a lot of inspiration from how your experience in the open, Pi data stuff, NumPy, like just open source repositories. I think knowledge and case studies and protocols for how to step into new roles in the applied AI economy are as important to open source than anything. I'm curious what you think about that, because I am very eager for us to have a lot of contributors contributing to open source educational material and playbooks for starting applied AI communities around the world. Curious if you think that's the right kind of thinking.
I think it's exactly the right kind of thing. There's a couple things we learned. Yes, open source, just connecting internet helps, and people start sharing. You have to come together. What made the SciPy community take off, what made PyData take off, was regular meetings. And that's why I feel so strongly about this kind of event and this kind of activity. It almost doesn't even matter what the format is, as long as it's sincere, it's authentic, and it gives a space for people to communicate. We need each other. We all do. That's the one fundamental thing we survive together. We need each other. We learn from each other. So yes, part of it is asynchronous sharing online, and then punctuated by as many as possible, actually, meetups, conferences, connection points. Virtual can help. Virtual isn't out of the question, but physical is important too, like at least a few times a year.
It's also like, how you can suss out if someone is kind of legitimate and trustworthy, and you can ask people that have spent a lot of time with them. And I think that's really important in this age where you can fake identities and all that, deep fakes. Any final thoughts before we empower people to mingle a little bit and make a new friend?
Yeah, no, I would say make a new friend. I love that story because it's absolutely true. I saw Gary and I just had this impression. I need to go talk to him. So to me, I attribute that to God, and I appreciate that opportunity. But yeah, love the fact that you're all engaging on this. It gives me so much hope because 6 months ago I was concerned that we could end up in 5 years from now in a world where we're all on somebody else's plantation effectively. We're sharecropping somebody else's intelligence farm, right? We do not need that. That's not what so many of us, and it'll be worse for us. That's true. Even the people in charge, it'll be worse for them. I'm so glad you're here. I think together we can do so much more, and I'm excited by the future.
Awesome. I'm just going to take that as permission that on the Applied AI Society website that God was our co-founder for Applied AI Society. Yeah. But thank you so much for coming out. Please, if you want to talk to Travis, he's right here. Will you be around for like 15 minutes to 30 minutes?
An hour.
Hey, he'll be here on for an hour. So find time with him. Be respectful of other people's desire to chat with him as well. And go make a friend. Thank you so much for being here. Final thing is if you want to participate in a training that Steven from earlier and I are doing on Wednesday, I'm going to leave up this QR code because you're going to bring your project that you want to AIify and we'll help you out. How do you think it went?